I had an anxiety problem, and Daniel solved it.
If you want to feel happy, this will help you.
The demon that seemed to be possessing me has gone.
My anxiety went away and it never came back.
My anxiety went down and my confidence went up.
And it's all thanks to Daniel's system.
Daniel's process is so simple.
Daniel is an engineer, so it's quite straightforward.
The steps are so easy. You follow the steps, the results will be there.
Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I'm very happy to welcome Daniel Packard here. Now, he is a scientist, and he's working on helping people with anxiety. So we're going to get to know him and have a great conversation. So let's kick this off right, man. Daniel, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Kyle. And I appreciate the podcast. It's called the Vibe. It's got the word vibe in it. And sometimes I think that word's a little overplayed, but I see you're rocking the goatee and the long hair. And I feel like when you say the word vibe, I'm like, all right, Kyle, you can use the word vibe and it's not annoying. Other people, there's certain words I think get overused. One is amazing. You know, when people use the word amazing on like a quinoa salad, I'm like, if you are feeling a sense of amazement from a salad, there's either something on that salad other than dressing, or you need to get out more. So I just like, let me hear you say the word vibe again.
Vibe.
Oh my God, that is so good. That is so good. See, I'm from like liberal California, so it's like vibe. It's not the same as when you let me try it. Vibe. Felt that in my plums. All right. So before we get going, I always like to be really clear with your audience what the value I'm going to be sharing with them, because there's a lot of podcasts and a lot of people know and talk about anxiety. And I want to be clear in what I want to talk about, because it's very rare and valuable to your audience. And I want to be clear because it's an innovative way of looking at things. So I like to be really clear so they don't miss it. And we're not just talking about anxiety. We're talking about the pain beyond the pain of anxiety. And what I mean by that is you've got the pain of anxiety, which means, you know, you feel anxious, it creates doubt, it messes with your confidence, you can't do what you love, you hold back, you just can't be fully happy, because the more afraid you are, the less happy you are. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that your audience knows if they have forms of fear and anxiety, they've tried to deal with it, but the experts help them with is just to manage it. They're always just it's never gone. Maybe it goes away, but then it comes back. And they're managing it. And, you know, management's better than nothing, but you still have it. And sometimes it gets worse. And then you start to give up hope. And so if that resonates with any of your listeners, what I'm here to share with you is a way to be free of your anxiety permanently, that's not how people approach things. It's always just managing it. But I want to stop that, because it's no way to live. It's like if you're in a boat and it's sinking and someone says, okay, I have a bucket and you can be bailing the boat and you won't sink, but you got to be bailing for the rest of your life. It's like, okay, it's better than sinking, but is it? Because you spend your whole life bailing. I want to show them like how to plug the hole, bail the boat out, get the boat going, get it to the beach so you can be on the beach having Mai Tais. And when I tell people that my company solves anxiety, they're always very skeptical. And when I tell them as well, part of why we're able to solve it quickly is because we don't even go at the anxiety. We saw that anxiety is just a symptom. And what it's a symptom of is that underneath, the person is just feeling unsafe. If you feel unsafe within yourself, you're going to then feel a feeling which you might call anxiety. So what we figured out over 8 years was a process so that a person could just feel completely safe from within, which sounds pretty darn cool. So if you have anxiety and you just want to keep managing it for the rest of your life, like, you should probably leave now, because like I'm not about that. If you want to understand how to feel safe from the inside out, which will not only help you be less anxious, but also more confident, less self-doubt. And if that sounds good to you, then that's what I want to share with your audience.
I'm tired of taking pills. You know, I want to take care of the problem, not mask it.
Absolutely. And I hear the pain in your voice. Like, I've been there. But it's not just doctors that throw pills at you. Well, they're throwing pills at you because they can write prescriptions. But the issue is they just don't know how to solve it. And no, you don't want to be a pills. But even when people, therapists or spiritual teachers or coaches, they'll give you tips and tools to manage it, but it's still just never gone. And I could hear it in your voice. Like, I got this, I got the whole 9 yards. But there's like a defeated hopelessness in your voice. Was I imagining that? Just because you've had it for so long and nothing's gotten rid of it. Was I imagining that?
Oh, no. I've had it since a very young age.
Yeah. And that's what's not okay. And what's not okay is for you to have it your whole life and your audience to have this stuff for years, if not decades, but what I want to awaken your audience to is this thing that I call the improvement industrial complex. It's the therapists and psychologists and coaches that get paid a lot of money and they have good intentions, but they're not solving stuff. And that's fine. That's the best they can do. But we as consumers, we need to start demanding more and demand what we demand from other people. When you take your car to a mechanic because your car doesn't run, and the mechanic said, hey, how about you come back every week and I'll just help you understand your car. And we'll just peel back the layers and I'll give you some tips so your car can run for about 5 minutes. You wouldn't say, wow, awesome. You'd say, no, fix my car. We tolerate this only in mental health because the mental health experts haven't figured it out and we're all settling. And it's not, I'm tired of it. And here's why I'm tired of it. My company, our passion is about results, measurable results and permanent results. And the reason we're passionate about it is because growing up, my dad was a scientist and an inventor, and he would invent things, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. And he told me, he said, Daniel, if something's not working in this world, invent something better. And he also said, what I like about science is, there is often like one answer, meaning it's the thing that actually gets the result. If you get an actual consistent result, you do know what's going on. And he said, a lot of people can claim to know what they're going on, but results matter. And that idea of results matter stuck with me. And so I loved inventing. When I was a kid, I would invent things that got results. When I was a kid growing up, it's when mountain bikes first started to be a thing. And all my other friends got mountain bikes. And they were fine with the mountain bikes, but I looked at the mountain bike and I looked at the brakes and I said, you know what? I can make them better. And I did. I went to my dad's workshop and I made better brakes. And it was so cool. And I wanted to be an inventor. So I went to UC Berkeley Engineering School. And I was properly trained how to look at complex problems, break it down into a mechanical understanding, and then build a prototype to solve a problem. But then you got to test it. You got to test it to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, you tweak it and you optimize it until you get something that gets a consistent result. And it's a very specific skill set and it's a very specific passion that people have, like real problem solvers. But problem solvers and inventors are needed when we want to innovate. If something's already working, you don't need problem solving innovators. But if something's not working, you want problem solving innovators. And so the good news was in engineering school, I learned how to make machines work, but I was not taught how to make relationships work. I don't know if I missed that class or if it was part of quantum theory, and I don't know. I missed it. So I come out of engineering school and I fall in love. Disney said we'd live happily ever after. I don't know if you know this, Kyle, but sometimes relationships can start great, but then go south. Did you know that?
I lived it.
Okay. That is just some free coaching from me to you and your audience. So I fell in love and I thought we lived happily ever after, and it turned really unhealthy, really fast. And I later found out that I was at times being emotionally abused, but I was too insecure and codependent to leave. And so when the relationship was finally over with her, about 2 weeks later, I was talking to somebody and they just interrupted me and my body was just filled with terror. And then the next day I heard a car door slam and I got filled with panic. And later I find out I have severe anxiety and complex PTSD from the relationship. And like your audience, whether it's anxiety, panic attacks, PTSD, mental health, just issues in general, I went looking for help. And I spent 10 years and $100,000, went to therapists, psychologists, spiritual teachers, gurus, lived in the ashrams. I did EMDR and CGT, EFT and MOUSC. I did all the letters. I worked with all the people with all the letters. And did it solve it? your audience knows, no, it was just managing it. Sometimes it was getting worse. And then my friends and family walked away because I didn't want to be around a person in pain, which just left me feeling even more broken and alone. And I wouldn't have taken my own life, but I definitely saw why people do. I saw it and I went, oh my gosh, I am not happy. And because these experts haven't figured out how to solve it, I feel hopeless and trapped. And I was, it was one of those rock bottom, come to Jesus, come to God, come to universe moments. I was just like pissed. I was just looking up at the sky, throwing my hands up, just going, what? Like, what do you want? What do you want me to learn? What do you want me to do? I just spent the last 10 years and I still feel that what do you want? And I really asked, and I heard a voice, and the words were basically what my dad told me, like, something's not working, go invent something better. And I went, whoa, what? No, invent machines, not, whoa, wait. Yes. Maybe I could invent something better and it would get results, because my dad told me results matter. And so really, first, just to heal my own pain, but also I saw the whole planet was full of millions and millions and millions, if not billions, of people that are struggling with mental health, and they don't have a permanent solution. And so I started my own research company with the mission to see if we could reverse engineer a permanent solution that was effective, affordable, measurable, scientific. And it was way harder than I thought. The whole process took 8 years, over $1 million in research and development. We worked with 3,000 people on 5 continents, testing and optimizing. I was one of the first test cases that got the real improvement. I remember waking up one morning and I was just suspiciously calm. And then some people did the thing that would normally send my system through the roof, and I didn't react. And I thought, okay, well, that's a fluke. It's going to come back. It always comes back. And never came back, Kyle. Never came back. That was 10 years ago. And I've been consistently chill and calm and cool as a cucumber for 10 years straight. I feel some stress for a couple minutes, but that's about it. So we saw it's possible. We thought, oh my God, we actually cracked this. But it wasn't enough for me. We wanted to help millions. So we figured out what worked with me and a few of the other test cases. And then we had to create an online program that was systematic and fast. So we got the whole process down to 6 weeks. It's all online with videos and exercises. So you're not working with somebody one-on-one. So it's much more affordable than working with somebody one-on-one. And we have a 90% success rate. No matter what kind of anxiety or panic you have, 90% success rate, because we care about results. But also, when we work with people, we don't take your money in the beginning. Once your anxiety is measurably solved, that's when we get paid. We get paid for results because my dad said results matter, and charging when we don't get results just feels wrong. And the other thing about results is, no matter what I say on this podcast to your audience, they're going to like what I say, but they're not going to believe me. It just sounds too good to be true. So don't believe me. Don't trust me. You can't. You don't know me. Plus, there's a lot of scams on the internet. You don't know me. But at the end, I'm going to send you to my website to get a free technique that we developed that you can apply to yourself and feel a result for yourself. Feel the potency of what we discovered so that you can feel for yourself, because words at this point don't mean anything, but results speak loudly. Results matter. What do you think about what I'm saying, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. So what all does this involve?
What is what involved?
The whole process.
Excellent question. And I am so proud of what we've developed because of how effective it is. Mm-hmm. But our mission is to help people solve anxiety. And if I tell you about the program, it doesn't matter because people don't understand how it's solvable. So I want to explain to you how it's even solvable to begin with and how it could even be simple, because otherwise people won't trust me. So can I explain to you why it's even solvable to begin with? Then it'll create some hope, because otherwise it just seems too good to be true. Okay. So here's a few reasons why it's solvable and that it's simple. First of all, as we know from magic, some of the most impressive magic tricks behind it is a very simple explanation. Have you noticed that? Were you around when David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear?
No.
Well, I must have been a kid. I was, let's see, it was in the 80s. Anyway, David Copperfield, the magician, makes the Statue of Liberty disappear.
I was alive, but I didn't see it.
I understand. You know of it. Well, I remember being a kid and watching TV like the rest of America. And I was like, we were like, oh my God, how did he do it? And then you find out it was just like a rotating stage. It was like really simple. It's always simple. So we discovered something very simple that solves anxiety, and it won't seem so magic what we do. And the reason we were able to solve it is our approach from the very beginning was a better plan than what others use. What others use and what your audience has gotten and paid for is approaches that are usually psychological or spiritual. You know? Now, a psychological or spiritual approach, there's value in it. It's concepts and it's ideas and concepts and constructs to kind of understand what's going on. Like a spiritual teacher might say, oh, your ego is attached to an outcome and that's creating some anxiety. Or a therapist might say, well, you know, you're focusing on the future too much, or you have a past memory. Like these are ways of understanding things, but they're abstract. Now, if you've got something figured out, abstract is fine, and it's good to understand things. But can you understand if you want to solve something, an abstract understanding isn't enough?
Okay.
Yeah. What you need if you want to solve something, or what accelerates solving things, is if you have an understanding that's not psychological or spiritual, but mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you take your car to a mechanic, you know, and the mechanic says, well, your car is like, it's not feeling empowered. It's not, its gas chakras are blocked, and it's not, you know, okay, like interesting. But what you want is like, oh, you know, you have a spark plug and it's not firing and it's not combusting, and that's your issue. It's mechanical. You know precisely what it is and how to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So what we discovered through our research is that fear and anxiety is not psychological or a spiritual issue. It is a mechanical issue. There are mechanics going on that are making people anxious, and then also mechanics to make people calm. So can you see the value of having a mechanical understanding of things?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Like if you're choking, you know, and somebody walks up to you, you know, two people walk up to you while you're choking, and one person says, hey, you know, when you were younger, you didn't, you know, there wasn't a lot of food in your house, and so you ate the food too quickly, and that's why there's a big thing. And also, you're really attached to breathing right now, and you have a really scarcity mindset towards oxygen. Like, do you want to hear that, or do you want to hear someone say, you have an airway that's mechanically blocked, and that's what you're feeling? And if I put mechanical pressure on your stomach, it puts mechanical pressure behind the piece of kale and pops it out. So then mechanically air can get in and you can live. Do you want spiritual, psychological, or mechanical?
Give me the mechanical.
Darn tootin'. So what I'm going to share with you now, we're going to do a little role play where I'm going to show you that there are real mechanics going on inside us. Okay. And it's just an oversimplified kind of example. It'll bring up a lot of maybe questions like what if, or what about that? But what I just really want to show is that maybe this anxiety that people are experiencing is simpler and more mechanical. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to do a little role play here. And I'm going to be talking to you, Kyle, but I'm also talking to your audience member. Okay. So when I say the word you, I'm talking to you, Kyle, but also you, audience member, wherever you are, on the couch, at the gym, in your car, on a unicorn. Hello, you. So when you hear the word you, I'm talking to you, Kyle, and you, audience member. Okay. All right. So let's just practice real quick. Let me ask you a question. Pop quiz. If you're choking, you would prefer to have a solution that is either A, psychological, or B, mechanical.
Give me B, mechanical.
Gold stars to you. And by you, I mean Kyle, an audience member. All right, you guys are already winning. Okay, so here we go. Now, in this role play, I'm going to be friends with you, okay? And you're going to feel something. And here's what you're going to feel. Inner mechanics lesson number 1. Anxiety is a symptom. And what we discovered anxiety is a symptom of is what I mentioned earlier, is that we feel unsafe within. Can you see that if you just feel unsafe inside, you'll then feel afraid, and you might call that feeling of fear anxiety?
I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So if you're listening, you don't have an anxiety issue. That's a symptom. That's a name. You have a feeling of unsafe. So that's mechanics lesson number 1. You don't have anxiety. You feel unsafe. Okay. But now the question is a mechanical understanding of why. When I say mechanical, what I mean is this is connected to this. And if you wiggle this, this will move over here. Like when you're choking, you have an airway, and if you get something blocked there, it mechanically will always block it. But then, of course, if you remove the obstruction, you'll always be able to breathe again. It's everybody. It's not like if somebody has a piece of cheeseburger in their throat and one person says, you know what, that doesn't affect me. No, it affects everybody because it's mechanical. So that's what we want. Simple, mechanical. All right. So here we go. We're going to be friends, and I'm going to show you that if I do something, you will mechanically feel unsafe. Okay? So we're friends, and on the count of 3, you, by you, I mean you, Kyle, an audience member. On the count of 3, I want you to say, hey, Daniel, I could really use some help. Okay? On the count of 3, I want you to say, Daniel, I could really use some help. 1, 2, 3.
Daniel, I can really use some help.
And I could really care less. Honestly, I got a lot of other people who I care about more because I need them to like me. And that's where my focus is. And maybe once I've helped them, maybe you'll get some scraps, maybe. But honestly, you're not that important to me. And if you really, really, really need me, I'm not going to really hear you or care. You are on your own. And in fact, the stuff that scares you, I might even do because I just really am not concerned with your well-being.
Are you my first wife?
Everyone's got a story where they've been treated this way. Trust me, I have too. So here's my question. If I treat you that way, are you going to feel less safe and anxious, or are you going to feel more safe and calm?
I'm going to feel a lot less safe.
Yes. Mechanical. It's not open to interpretation. If I do that long enough, anyone's going to feel that way. All right. Now, on the count of 3, I want you to say, hey, Daniel, the way you're treating me has me feeling unsafe. Okay? On the count of 3, you, that means you, Kyle, an audience member, say, hey, Daniel, the way you're treating me has me feeling unsafe. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Daniel, the way you're treating me is making me feel unsafe.
What is wrong with you? Why are you like this? Everything is fine, man. Okay, why do you feel afraid? Everything is, you shouldn't feel, is there something wrong with you? Are you going crazy, man? Are you weak? Are you broken? First of all, don't come to me with your stuff. I'm trying to have a happy life, and your feelings are getting in the way, and there is something wrong with you, and you need to get it away from me. This is your fault and not mine. Okay. Does that make you feel less safe and more anxious, or more safe and calm?
Less safe and more anxious.
Okay. And can you almost see that's mechanical? Like there's not a single person in the world where that's going to feel good.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Hate to do that to you. I would never treat you this way. It's for the sake of science, but I'm just showing you there are things that can happen that will almost mechanically make you feel that way. Now, the thing about mechanics is, if you understand the problem, you then also understand often the solution. Like if you know why someone stops breathing from a piece of cheeseburger, you can remove the cheeseburger. So mechanically, if this is mechanical in the same way I can make you feel unsafe and anxious, theoretically, with the same knowledge, I should be able to flip it around and make you feel safe and calm. Do you think I can do it?
I believe in you, Daniel.
Kyle, I appreciate that. All right. Well, let's see. All right. So now on the count of 3, same thing. I want you to say, hey, Daniel, what you did has has left me feeling unsafe. On the count of three, hey Daniel, the way you're treating me has me feeling unsafe. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Daniel, the way you're treating me is making me feel unsafe.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you told me. Oh God. Of course you feel this way. I've been treating you like crap. There's nothing wrong with you. Anyone would feel this way. I broke your trust. You couldn't rely on me. I'm glad you told me. And this is an opportunity for me to treat you much better and regain your trust so you feel better around me. So I'm sorry it came to this, but I'm glad you told me. And we're going to work this out as a team. Okay, does that leave you feeling less safe and anxious or more safe and calm?
More safe and calm.
All right. Now, can you see, again, there's a lot of layers to this, including the fact that maybe it confused you because I sounded like your ex-wife, but can you see that on some level, there's almost like mechanics going on inside us, and you can either make a person feel unsafe and anxious, and you can also make a person feel safe and calm. Can you sort of see that?
I can see that.
Yeah. Now, in this case, it was sort of a friend relationship. But on some level, we're in a relationship with ourselves. So on the one hand, the reason you felt unsafe is because I was treating you poorly. But can you see that on some level, you sometimes treat yourself kind of poorly?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So what's going on is things are happening on the outside from others and or from you to yourself that unbeknownst to you are making you feel unsafe from within. And then you feel a feeling which you then call anxious. And it feels complicated, but in this little role play, can you see that maybe it's a lot simpler than we think?
It's starting to look that way.
And tell me what sort of, what was the value of that exercise? Like, what did you take away from that?
Well, when you break it down and actually simplify it and give you a vision of what you're going through, then it makes more sense. It also, I can relate. I can truly relate. Do you remember there used to be a toy? I can't remember the exact name of it. It's like Mr. Mechanical or Mr. Robot or something like that. It had a bunch of gears in it, and whenever you wound it up or whatever, you'd see all the parts moving inside of it.
No, but I can imagine. I remember a toy I had called Capsella, which is gears and stuff. The point is, I get what you're saying. You could look inside and see what's going on.
Right. That's what I envision when you're talking.
And what do you see what's going on, even just simply?
Just all those moving parts.
Yeah. So you said some words that are right there, moving parts, and you said it's making sense. That's not complicated, confusing, psychological, spiritual language. This is like basics. This is the basics if you open up a dishwasher, you open up a car engine. We just haven't thought to apply this to mental health because the experts were taught this psychological, abstract, spiritual model where it's a lot of theories, but it's not mechanical and simple. And thus they were confused and made us confused, but not because it is confusing. It is simple. It just took a group of engineers to make it simple. And the reason it's simple is partly because that's what engineers are good at and scientists are good at. You look at something complex and you look at the simplicity from within. Einstein he pondered this question of you can't go faster than the speed of light, but what if you're going fast and then you shine a flashlight? Can the light go faster than the speed of light? No. And he was like, and to a lot of people, that was very complicated. Thinks about it, and then he comes up with E = MC squared that just explains so much. So scientists can take things that seem seemingly complicated and with a lot of work make it simple. But the simple is empowering because it gives us hope to real change. And the reason we were able to make it simple is partly because we were good at it and we wanted to, but also for this reason. We stopped believing the experts. The experts are telling you and your audience that anxiety is a problem of the mind. They tell you to stop the negative mindset. Don't believe the scary thoughts. Don't worry about the future. They give us pills to target the brain. And it's even called mental health. It's got the word mental right in there. So the experts are telling everybody this is a problem of the mind. And like you and me and the audience, we're like, okay, it's a problem of the mind. And it seems kind of like it's a problem of the mind because the mind says some scary things. And when you feel scared, it feels like it's the mind. But me and my team, we were like, well, look, results matter. Is this theory getting it done? Is this solving anything? And the answer was no, it's not getting good results. But my dad told me if someone really knows what they're talking about, they get better results. So we said, well, is it a problem of the mind? And we could ask this question because we weren't attached to any old paradigms. We weren't experts. We were just trying to figure this out. So we could start from scratch and question everything. Therapists aren't going to question everything. They're therapists. This is their world. Spiritual teachers aren't going to question it. They've learned it. They like it. Great. But we questioned it. And we questioned, is anxiety a problem of the mind? And the second we asked that, the answer was very quickly, very simply, no. And it's very simple. We listened to people and we paid attention. Do people say, I think anxious or I feel anxious?
Feel anxious.
Right. Where do you feel it? You feel it in your throat, in your chest, in your heart, your stomach. All right. So all the experts told everybody it's a problem of the mind. But listen to those words: throat, heart, chest, stomach. Does that sound like the mind to you or more like the body?
It sounds like the body.
Sounds like the body because it is the body. Now, this is not theory. What we discovered is the mind is a symptom of the actual root cause of anxiety, which is the body. When the body is anxious, the mind thinks there's a problem and starts to spin, trying to solve a problem. Have you ever noticed that when you're calmer, your mind tends to notice more good things? And when you're more anxious, your mind tends to find more problems and negative things?
Oh, yes. All the time.
Can you see that that's the mind following the body?
Makes sense now.
It makes sense. This is not theory. The root cause of anxiety is not the mind. It's coming from the body. Not only is it true, but we know it's true because we have data, we have results. When we start to develop our tools that just focused on the body, because it was the root cause, my anxiety and the other test cases, anxiety started to go down and most importantly, stay down. That's what happens when you get to the root cause. So I want to tell your audience, the experts meant well, but they had an incomplete model of understanding that they learned and didn't think to double check their math because, it's a better business model to focus on the symptom, the mind. People come back to you all day long. Your anxiety is not a problem of the mind, it's a problem of the body. And that's why you haven't solved it. Because the experts sent you to the literal wrong location. You never could have solved it there because that's just a symptom. So if you haven't solved your mental health, it's not because you're broken or weak or anything's wrong with you. It's because it ain't mental. It's physical. But the experts confused you and sent you to the wrong location. So you do not have a mental health issue. You have a location issue. And Kyle, and to your audience, can you see that if you go from the wrong location of the problem to the actual right location of the problem, it makes more sense. You could probably solve it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So what do you think about what I'm saying?
I like it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Does a permanent solution seem a little more possible based on what I'm explaining?
Well, from what you've said so far, I can see a permanent solution.
Good. Now, again, this is just an explanation so it makes sense. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to fully believe me because when you've had something for so long, it feels complicated and the experts have confused everyone, so it feels complicated. So again, don't fully believe me, but I hope I'm creating an opening of curiosity and possibility. To really believe me, go get the free training at the end and use one of our techniques on yourself and have a real result, a real experience to know that what I'm saying isn't just words, it's real. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Well, first off, what is your website?
Well, as you know, Kyle, I like to keep things simple. Okay. Now, my name is Daniel Packard. What do you think my website is, Kyle?
Perhaps it's danielpackard.com.
Woo! Gold stars to you. Say my name. Say my name. Yeah. Go to danielpackard.com. And I like to keep things simple. So that free training where you get to learn one of our techniques. What do you think I'm charging for that free training, Kyle?
$0.00.
That is the exact correct right. Winner on The Price is Right. Yes, you get to go to the showcase round, Kyle.
I am the winner.
If you are curious about what I'm saying and you want to have an experience to see if what I'm saying is true or not, especially for you, because some people think, well, Daniel, I bet you figured this out, but maybe it works, but it won't work for me. Be skeptical. I totally get it. I'd be skeptical if I was your audience. So be skeptical, but I invite you to be open. Get the train. It's free. Got none to lose. Try it out and have an experience for yourself. And here's the value of what we're doing is we're reframing what's possible. Right now, the experts have convinced us that the best we can do is to manage this stuff. So people will come to me and they'll say, can you help me get rid of my anxiety? That's what I used to ask. And that's kind of the bar that people are at. Help me get rid of my anxiety. But they're not asking for what they really want. They're just saying, get rid of my anxiety. But what does that even mean? Like, what does it really mean? Because anxiety is something you don't want, and not wanting, the mind can't process a double negative. Like if someone says, suck less, that you can't process that. So if I tell people we're solving anxiety, they're like, I mean, that sounds, but what does that really mean? Well, what we discovered was the mechanics and engineering of the body. And we understood why the body is feeling unsafe. And basically, it's because there's a system in your body that controls feeling safe. And it's very simple. And that's the beauty of going to the body, is there's systems there. If you think this is a problem of the mind, they don't understand the mind. It's like 180 billion neurons up there. There's 100 trillion synaptic pathways. Nobody understands the mind. But the body is like mechanical. You got skeletons and arteries and ligaments. It's mechanical in there. And that's why when someone's choking, no one says, oh my God, like, tell me about your experience. What's going on? We know what's going on. It's not complicated. If you fall off a ladder and there's a white thing sticking out of your leg, no one's like, oh, is that an elephant tusk? No, it's my leg. I got a broken leg. Like, we get the body's mechanical. It's not, So when we went from the mind to the body, it just simplified things. Because there's systems in the body, and systems have mechanics and mechanisms. So we just said, well, what's the system making everybody feel this way? But again, once we started asking the right questions, the answer was not fancy. It was simple. It's so simple. It's obvious. So take away the word anxiety. Okay, that's just a label to a feeling and a whole experience. It's confusing. Some people are like, do I have anxiety? Do I have it? It's vague, abstract. So let's just take away the word anxiety, and let's just say that a whole bunch of people are feeling various degrees of feeling nervous. You could call a panic attack extra nervous. You could call worry a little bit nervous. You could call really anxious extra nervous. But let's just use the word nervous, okay? All right. So let's say we want to go find the system in the body that's making 1 billion people on this planet nervous, overly nervous. Which system do you think it is? Do you think it's the capillary system, the endocrine system, or the nervous system?
Perhaps the nervous system?
More gold stars to you. And that's after winning The Price is Right. All right. Now, did you have to phone a friend, or was that answer kind of simple?
I had to Google it. No, I'm kidding. I think it was pretty simple.
It's pretty simple because it is simple. There's a system in the body called the nervous system. and it's malfunctioning. It's crashed, and it's making everybody various degrees of feeling unsafe and nervous. That's it. And the reason this is an empowering concept is because we understand already that systems in the body can fail, but then systems in the body can be repaired. If you need a root canal, do you have to live like that for the rest of your life? Or is there a solution for that?
Go to the dentist.
Yeah. When I was 23, I tried to impress a girl with some dance moves, and I saw a music video where somebody ran up a wall and did a flip off a wall. So I ran up to a wall and tried to flip off it, got halfway up the wall, realized I couldn't flip, pushed off the wall. I landed. I looked cool, but I felt my knee explode.
Oh,
Do you think, and I went to a knee surgeon who showed me an MRI and said, you have a mechanical issue. You blew out your ACL ligament. Do you think I had to live like that for the rest of my life? Or do you think they solved it?
I have a feeling they solved it.
Yes. So your audience doesn't have an experience of mental health being solved, but we do have an experience of systems in the body failing and being solved. So once you realize that the anxiety is just nervousness, because the nervous system is just another system that's malfunctioning and can be repaired.
Right.
So, but here's the beauty. Here's why this is so cool, aside from the fact that it makes more sense. When a system in the body fails, if you're paying attention and you do things right, you don't just have to lower the pain. You can actually make the system strong. What do I mean by that? All right, let's say you take a person who hasn't eaten well their whole life. And because of that, they end up with a heart attack. Basically, the cardiac system crashes. There you go. You're saying that happened to you. All right. So you try to get away with it. Then that system crashes, creates a whole lot of pain. Some people use that pain as an opportunity to go, oh, I'm going to turn this around and not only just stop having heart attacks, I'm going to get healthy. We see these annoying people on Facebook that go like from, emergency room to marathon winner, because they took what wasn't working and learn about their bodies and actually become strong. So people come through our program. We're not just lowering anxiety. You come out of this feeling safe and strong and resilient and confident. I had a client who came to me 2 months ago, Charles, from San Luis Obispo. It's in Southern California. And, he had crippling anxiety and panic attacks. And at work, he also just was very insecure and would hide, basically. And I told him, I said, what if you could feel safe? What if you could just feel strong from within? And he's like, look, man, just get rid of the anxiety. Like, I don't need because that's all he was. I said, well, okay. So he goes through the program and he reaches out to my team and he says, Daniel was right. What he basically said was not only did his anxiety go away, but he was in a situation with a family member where normally he would just be a wallflower and not say anything and avoid conflict. And he said all of a sudden, seemingly for no reason, he started standing up for himself, cared a lot less what people thought of him, and started speaking up and being strong and confident. And he didn't care because he felt safe from within. So if you're listening to this and you're like, man, it'd be nice to not have anxiety, but can you, Kyle, and to your audience, how would life be if you could wake up every morning and just feel strong and safe and solid from within, no matter what's going on the outside? How would life be better?
Oh my gosh, life would be so much better. I would probably be a lot happier.
Yep. Do I seem happy?
Seem like a very happy guy.
I am. Wasn't always. I was curled up in a ball in a field position, afraid to leave the house. And now I'm like this. And this is all natural. This is not cocaine. I'm not a psychopath. This is all real. And it's coming from the fact that I have a very healthy nervous system and I feel safe and solid from within. And all of this is just a result of that. And it's permanent. And that's what's possible. That's what we're bringing to the world. Is we want to give people their lives back. We want to make them healthier, not just for themselves, but for the people around them and the people that rely on them. When you feel safe and solid from within, you're a better leader, business owner, parent, partner, human. What do you think?
I know that'd make my wife a lot happier, because when she married me, I was this happy-go-lucky guy, and all of a sudden it seems like depression comes right back in, and now I feel bad for her because she has to live with a miserable me.
Yep. It sucks. It really does suck because,
Well, it's not fair to her.
Man, I get it. I talk to clients all the time. A gentleman reached out to me from Florida. And, he said, I've had anxiety and panic attacks and occasional depression my whole life. And it's not fair to my wife. And it's not fair to my kids. He said, my kids want to go on a vacation and I can't leave the house. Like, they don't have their full father, and I feel bad. So not only does he have anxiety and panic attacks and depression, but then he's got all the guilt and the shame. So the first thing I told him was, I know you're letting these people down, but this also isn't your fault. The experts that you trusted to solve this just were not honest and didn't know how to solve it. And they've confused you and made it worse. But this is simple, and we're going to turn this around. And he said, the only reason I believe you is I was at a dinner party and I met somebody who had been in my same situation, and they swore by what you did. And they also said, when I found out that, I don't pay till the end, I got really curious because I thought, how can anybody, be that confident? So he did our program, and he reached out. It's a 6-week program. He reached out, I think it was around like week 4.5. And he said, I just want to thank you guys so much. He said, it's not just that I'm calm now, I'm happier. And the idea of going to a trip doesn't scare me. I'm excited. And so me and my family just booked a vacation. So not only do I have my life back, but my kids have their dad back, and my wife has her husband back. That's why we get up in the morning. It's saying about anxiety, man. This is about saving lives, not just our clients' lives, the other lives around them.
Do you have social media?
A little bit, but honestly, we're very focused on helping people solve it. And to solve it, we've learned that people have to have an experience. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we have some social media, but ultimately, no matter what's on social media, what people need is an experience. So that's why if you've listened this long, I don't know if you have. Well, no, I guess I do know. If you hear me now, wow, that got really existential all of a sudden. So you have listened to this point. Thank you. Although, I'm not going to thank you. What I've said is incredibly valuable, but I appreciate you for being interested enough and courageous enough, because a lot of people just tune out. They think they're too skeptical. They're cynical. So if you're listening, you have listened this far, it means you're curious and open, and that takes courage. So I appreciate your listeners for that. However, don't just stop at learning something. Learning is overrated. Okay. You got to take action to solve something. So here's the next step. If what you've heard me say so far to Kyle and you has made sense, and you're like, God, this guy's making sense. Maybe I'm not broken. Maybe there's nothing wrong with me. That's true. They sent me to the wrong place. If the experts sent me to the wrong place, of course I didn't solve it. But maybe if I go to the right place, I could solve it. And he's right. There's a system in the body called the nervous system, and systems crash and create problems. And maybe I'm just extra nervous from a crashed nervous system, and systems can be repaired. And maybe these guys figured this out. And the fact that we only charge at the end for results probably means we're getting results. So if you're curious, the next step, go to my website. Let's keep it simple. KISS, keep it simple, sexy. Go to danielpackard.com. Download the free training. It's 45 minutes. That's it. Simple. And you're going to experience two things. One is you're going to understand why in that exercise you felt unsafe and why you felt safer. What was going on within that was really going on? And that'll explain your unsafety in a way that you haven't heard before. And it's literally right under your nose, and the experts didn't tell you. And then we're going to explain to you the theory of basically how do you create a safe, healthy nervous system. And then you're going to apply one of our techniques at the end. It's about 3 minutes long, and you're going to measurably, because you're going to measure this, you're going to measurably feel safer and calmer. And something that used to make you anxious won't make you as anxious anymore. And that'll give you a result to show you that maybe you can be free of this, and maybe it's even simple. So if you have 45 minutes to just see what's possible for you, learn something about yourself, and maybe give yourself some hope that you're not trapped or broken, that you really can be free of this once and for all, so you can just be happier for you and the people that depend on you. If that interests you, danielpackard.com, get the free training, see what happens. What do you think?
I think I'm going to try it.
Okay.
And I'm also going to put the links in the description to make it easy for folks so they can just click on it and go.
Well, thank you, Kyle, for being part of Operation Simple. Yeah, your audience has been confused for way too long. Let's all try to make it a whole lot simpler.
Amen to that. Thank you, Daniel, for coming on my show. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Oh, it feels nice to be appreciated. I receive that gratitude. And also thank you to you for creating this wonderful show. And thank you to your listeners for, being in pain and struggling, but not giving up, which takes real courage. I know many times I wanted to give up, and I'm sure your audience has too, but they don't. And to keep going when it's hard, man, it takes courage. And if you're on this, listening to this podcast, it means you're still showing up when it's hard. And I appreciate your audience for that. That said, I want to show them how they can get out of pain so they don't have to keep dealing with this. But in the meantime, I appreciate your audience for keeping going when things are hard. It ain't easy.
Now, I want to thank y'all folks out there too. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. And so I want you to please take care, be kind to one another. God bless, and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network